Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Oakland, Iowa. We had such a great time there in London, Kentucky the last couple of days, Sunday morning, Sunday night. We've been here in Oakland Monday and Tuesday. Great crowds. It's good to see so many new people coming in to hear the word. You know, it's the way it should be. The Bible says, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together, as some would do, especially as you see the day approaching. And that's what the update's all about. We can tell how close we are by looking at all the signs. But the amazing thing is the rapture is signless. So if you look at all the signs of the second coming and back up about 7 years, you can tell how close we are. So really what we look at is the Ezekiel 38 war, because that happens just after the rapture. So if you can see the nations for that getting in position, and boy, this last week you see, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, you see more and more and more than ever before, you can tell we're close. So why is this a big deal? I hear people go, well, you teach on the coming of the Lord to get everybody's hopes up. That's exactly right. It's the hope that purifies you even as you're pure. Remember when Jesus walked into town, the demons began to cry out, have you come to torment us before the time? Instant submission. But what I like was they knew Jesus had a schedule and he was early. So if demons can know the schedule, how much more the church should know the schedule. Why? It's not an escape theology, it's a hustle theology. Like in a football game, the quarterback, when the play clock's winding down, it makes him hustle. It makes him make decisions quicker. So you can drop the ball at the beginning of the game, but at the end of the game, you can't drop the ball. This is it. It's crucial. So the signs are showing us, and what's happening all over the earth is showing us the king's about to come back. How exciting to be living just before he returns. So let's pick up with what's happened around Israel this last week. Man, a lot of stuff's happening. Probably the first thing that happened that I think of is Iran boasted this week of coming up with a new hypersonic missile that could hit Israel in 400 seconds. Which them touting that is pretty radical because now Israel's going to have to do something. And for them to publicly do it like that, you know they're going to get ready for whatever Israel's going to bring. So like the old ICBMs, which they still have, of course, they have an arch to their trajectory. This new missile can go up and down like this. It can go low, it can go high, and it avoids all these other things. And they said they will use this to take out Israel's defense mechanism. So man, I know Israel's going to retaliate with something. I wouldn't doubt at all that half the computers in Iran the next few days are going to be toast. But anyway, Israel has to do this because Iran is bent on this. And you had a whole other wave of violence all over the nation of Iran. The people of Iran don't like the way the whole country's being run. And the Ayatollahs are like, okay, we live to annihilate Israel. So that's so weird to publicly say that stuff. So once again, you had another alignment with Russia and Iran again. Notice Iran is supplying Russia with not only drones, but even missiles, ballistic missiles. That shows you how depleted Russia is. It came out from one of our generals this week that Russia was down to half of their tanks. So amazing that they're having to turn to Iran for this. I do like that America put sanctions on those companies that build those missiles for Iran so they can't go into shooting into Israel and into the Ukraine. Now what's crazy is today you had a massive ballistic missile barrage on the whole country of the Ukraine, to the point that even a couple of missiles landed in Poland. So now you've got Poland getting all ready to get NATO involved. I don't know if it was on purpose, because there are other missiles hit strategic areas all over the Ukraine, but this hit in a NATO nation, Poland, which we have to support too. So I mean, I don't think it's the beginning of World War III, but man, it's a definite setup for it. You had several general after general after general this last week say, you're seeing the total setup for World War III, because these nations are getting ready for this. You had Russia, and I mean, you had China and South Korea, and even America kind of join into a pact to try to settle down nuclear war. You had America's CIA director go to Turkey the last couple of days to meet with Russia's kind of the head of their CIA. What were they discussing? How do we calm down this nuclear talk that people are getting ready for the nukes to go everywhere? So there's a real thought pattern now to slow everything down, because, man, it's kind of escalating. You're watching Russia really show its true colors with a blanketing of missile attacks today. So, and in Israel, you got so much happening with the Temple Mount. You got this push. Different groups are coming in, pushing, going, okay, we need to get up on the Temple Mount to pray. You had Jacob's 40,000 sheep show up today. This is the first time in years. There's a lineage of Jacob's sheep that he had for sacrifices, and they haven't been around the old city in years. Today, they all came there. So you've got these rams that are there, just like in Jacob's day, where Jacob looked up and saw Jacob's ladder, that doorway from heaven to earth, that portal. So that's pretty cool. You've got the new red heifers. You've got the new sheep there. You've got the instruments of the secretion of the blood. Everything, the Sanhedrin has everything ready for sacrifices. So amazing that you're seeing the setup right there for the coming of the Lord. You have many more things, though. You've got earthquakes right off of Japan. You got earthquakes off of Fiji. You got earthquakes off of Chile. There's a big barrage of that happening right now. And really, the big talk about natural stuff is probably the missiles, not missiles, but meteorites. This last week, you had 3 different meteorites. You had a house hit by a meteorite. And then NASA talking about Wormwood in 2029, talking about a flyover in 2027 and 2028. So even the one last week, that meteorite came out from behind the sun. So you've got asteroids popping up more than normal. So all of this, with all these nations that are literally setting up the stage for World War III, they're pushing this event because it's that time. So what do? We help our local church, help our local pastor. We get more engaged. We always go to the Word of God. So how can we tell how close we are? Number 1, Israel made a nation. Number 2, Jerusalem won back. After that, you got the Hebrew language restored. You got the Ethiopian Jews brought back. You got the fertility of the land of Israel. You got the revival of the Roman Empire. Amazing. You have all these events. You have foxes showing up on the Temple Mount. Fish in the Dead Sea. You had the Dead Sea turn blood red where Sodom and Gomorrah was on the Day of Atonement. So all of these signs, how radical. Men will be lovers themselves with selfie sticks. So you have sign after sign after sign. You have the revival of the Roman Empire. I mean, think about it. You have the building they have, is their Capitol buildings, identical to the Tower of Babel. So little things, one after another, would be one thing, but you got 70 some odd signs that the Lord is about to come back. In our new book, we have all those in there, so you can go down, check off the list. They've all happened right in front of our eyes. So after that, though, after signs, you got the signals. You had blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles a few years ago. How crazy is that? NASA calls that a tetrad. When's the last time you had 4 in a row like that on Passover and Tabernacles? 1967 when Jerusalem was won back, 1948 when Israel was made a nation, and 1492 at the Edict of Expulsion when the Jews were kicked out of Spain. So big marked days for things for blood red moons. And then you had the Bethlehem star. I mean, when Jesus was born, you had Jupiter, Regulus, Venus come together. Jupiter, king planet, Regulus, regal, king planet, Venus, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. All of them came together at one time. Constellation was Virgo. Man, this last year, NBC Nightly News, so we have a celestial event. You got Jupiter, Regulus, Venus. You had Regulus do retrograde motion and do a crown Jupiter. Why? A king was born. What was the constellation? Leo. He's the lion of the tribe of Judah. Man, this is it. I know every week we talk about how it's blatantly happening right in front of us, but it's blatantly happening right in front of us. So we're privileged to be that group of people just before he returns. So let's help our local church. Let's help our local pastor. Let's hook them up. Let's be engaged. Let's don't fit church into our life. It is our life. Why? Jesus is just about to come. I mean, you have the archway for Baal worship got rebuilt in Palmyra. I mean, the Talmud says that's the last sign you'll see before the Messiah comes. So the rabbis are ready. You got fish in position, birds in position, predatory birds, all these different groups in position. What's the church doing? This is our time to shine. Show people Jesus. Show people he's alive and well. Death couldn't hold him down, and he's just about to come back. How privileged are we? Let's lift up our voice. Every single one of us as believers, we can talk about the coming of the Lord without being weird, because Jesus is just about to come. Man, we'll come back next week. It'll be interesting to see what NATO does with missiles flying into Poland. And let's get ready for the world to have scary things, but the church is about to be evacuated. We're about to be raptured. Have a blessed, wonderful week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the edu at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.